After that wonderful talk, we have our first international, super international, not just Ireland. That's dismissive to Ireland, isn't it? I didn't mean it to be like that. But we have the lovely Eduarda joining us from Brazil. She's joining us online, all being well, and she's going to share her experience of encephalitis. Over to you, Eduarda.
Hello, everyone. My name's Eduarda. I'm 24 years old and I'm from Brazil. My story with encephalitis started at the end of 2022. I was still in law school and I started to feel sick. So I thought maybe it was a flu because I was only 22 years old. I used to go out a lot and stay late at night at the streets with my friends. So I used to have a flu sometimes. But my fever was really high and my body was really sore. So I thought maybe it was the best to go to the hospital to see what it was. I thought it was maybe dengue or Zika. I don't know if you guys know what it is. It's a mosquito here in Brazil. Terrible. But it wasn't. They didn't know what I had, but they told me that if I didn't get better within 3 days, I should go back and be reevaluated. So I was sleeping at the 23rd of November, and my mom woke me up early in the morning and said to me, Eduarda, let's go to the hospital. You're not okay. And then we went to the hospital, and later she told me that during the car ride to the hospital, I was really confused. I didn't know where we were going, and I kept asking her where we were going. And so we went to the hospital that I always go, so it wasn't something different for me. So to be quicker, she dropped me off at the reception and went to park her car. But I don't have any memory of this day, so I don't know what I said to the nurses and to the doctors, but they thought what I had was a little bit urgent because they put me on a separate part of the ER. There was the part that they treat the emergency cases. So my mom arrived at the station that I was, and she told me after that they thought maybe I had dengue, and I was confused because I was really dehydrated. So they put me on IV fluids, and I stayed there for I think 1 hour to put in the fluids. But then I, my mom told me that I start saying things that didn't make sense. So she asked the doctors to call a neurologist. And then my first seizure happened. It was the first seizure I had in my life. So it wasn't something I was used to. So my mom told the doctor that I didn't have epilepsy or anything like that. So they were really worried. I had my second seizure and I was getting worse quicker. So they rushed me to the ICU. Um, at the ICU, they at the first day they did all the exams possible to try to understand what was happening with me, and they were really quick with my diagnosis. They told my parents that I had encephalitis at, I think, 12 hours after I arrived at the hospital. To this day, they don't know what type of encephalitis I have. They did all the exams, but they think it was the autoimmune encephalitis. I was so then I started my treatment. I stayed at the hospital for a total of 23 days. It wasn't a period that I can say it was horrible because I had amazing support system. My family was with me every day. My mom and my father, they slept. They did some how can I say? They had this I schedule to live with me in the hospital, and my friends went to visit me every day. So it wasn't so bad. Um, and then when I left the hospital, I I thought maybe my life would be the same as it was before. Um, I hoped my life was going to be the same as it was before, but of course it wasn't. I like to say to people that don't know about this disease that after I was diagnosed and after I was medicated and after I got out of the hospital, I gained a new brain. It's not the same brain as I had prior. So I changed a little bit. I wasn't the same person as I was before, in bad ways and in good ways. When I was at the hospital, my my college was going through the finals week, so I lost all my finals. So when I left the hospital, I immediately started to study for my finals, which was really difficult because I was still recovering from a really hard disease and my brain wasn't working so well and my memory was not the same. So I was studying. Thank God I passed all my exams. And I also was working at a big bank here in Brazil called Inter. And I was at the um, the corporate part of the bank. And I returned to work at January after 2 months. So it was a lot of things happened at the same time. I went back to college for my last year in college, but things started to get um, too much for me because I think I needed some time to how can I say this? I needed some time, and my brain needed time. But I was working again. I was back in college, so my schedule was crazy again, and I was still recovering from a pretty hard disease. So unfortunately, I had to quit my job because my priority was to graduate from law school. I was really sad with this. I didn't want to quit my job, but I continued studying and I got my law degree. It was a really hard year. I can't say it was a normal year. Um, my mental health was a problem. I struggle with anxiety and depression. Uh, so I had to start new medications and I start to see a therapist, Clarice, who is watching, I think. And she was the one that introduced me to this amazing organization. Um, I'm still working on my mental health. I got my law degree and currently getting my master's degree in corporate law and studying to OAB, which is the bar exam here in Brazil. So I'm keeping myself busy because the life doesn't end after the disease. This disease don't need to define who you are. You can do whatever you want, and you just have to believe you can do it. And when Clarice introduced me to this organization, I felt really seen, and I felt I I didn't feel lonely anymore, because it was something that it was hard to talk with my parents and my friends, because they didn't understand what it was like to be sick like this. But this organization helped me a lot, and I hope maybe I can help other people. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. I hope you saw us all doing our hand waving, clapping. That was fantastic. Thank you, and such a great insight into your experience. I am so inspired as well, all the studying that you're doing, the fact that you passed your exams and everything. So yeah, real testament to you. I'll throw it out to the audience. Has anybody got any questions or comments from the audience? Sorry, coughing at you. No, not at the moment. In terms of your friendship group when you were going through this, and kind of how friends reacted, how did you find that?
So my mom always told me that I had a lot of friends, and friends were like family to me. So sometimes I expect more of people that the person can give me. But my friends were amazing. Some of them were like family, were there for me 100% of the time. I have one friend, Carol, which she helped me in law school. She's from my class. She was like a second teacher, we can say that. She helped me go through all my doubts. But my friend group, they were okay. They didn't understand. It's it was a shock for everyone here in my city. It was fun. It's funny because my city is the capital of the state, but we say that it's really small. So my case was famous in all the city, and every parents were like really worried their kids were going to go through something like this. So my friends were helpful. They tried to help me the way they could, and yeah.
Sounds good. And it sounds like you've done a lot of awareness raising then in your city. If everybody knows, that's what we like to hear. Fantastic. And in terms of, have you found it frustrating that they didn't identify what caused your encephalitis or what antibody it was? Have you found that? Because I know quite a lot of our people have that, and I've just wondered how that made you feel.
At first, I was really upset with that. We had the best neurologist here in my city, Dr. Romanelli. He's amazing. I love him. He told me we don't know. So my parents were like, okay, let's research and see who is the best neurologist in Brazil. So we went to São Paulo, because the best neurologist in treating encephalitis was from the hospital of Albert Einstein, which is in São Paulo. So we had a consult with her, and she couldn't figure out too. So I was like, okay, if she can, I think I will never know, but it's okay. I'm I try to think I'm okay now, so it doesn't matter which kind it was.
I think that's a good approach to have. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. We really appreciate it. And yeah, hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.